I sing, tension builds up in the throat. Pause. Super pause, bro. Ultra supreme.
I was listening to somebody singing, but now they doing a lot of yapping. Let's see if they sing again.
You're perfect in anything. Wow, you really think so? Thank you. I'm a human being, so I'm flawed.
Hey y'all, it's Asha Cerise, your favorite life coach, dream doula, and event curator.
But,
I wanted to come on here and go live. I know I said a couple weeks ago that I was going to start going live on Fridays. I don't know what happened. All I know is that the Fridays that followed that live, I was just chilling, and then a light bulb went off. Like, I said I was going to go live tonight, but by then it was like almost midnight. But I just wanted to, I want to take accountability on my part, but I also want to call y'all out because I also said on that live that I wanted y'all to hold me accountable. But I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm here right now. I know it's a Monday evening. And I was hoping this guy would sing, but he ain't singing, he talking. I just wanted to talk because I just made a post on my other platforms. I'll also be posting it here as a short. And it's just something that I've been seeing an increase of lately. And that's breakups. When I tell you, I would say that everybody that I know that was in a relationship at the beginning of this year is not in a relationship anymore. And it's interesting because I saw a lot of posts from like the astrology girlies, spiritualists, different people who make posts about dating and relationships, talking about the astrology or the universal energy that we're in at this time and how it relates to relationships. And I'm like, they was really on to something. I know that we're just exiting out of the year of the snake, and the year of the snake was all about shedding what no longer serves you, whether that's people, habits, mindsets, whatever that looks like, whatever you needed to shed. And we have entered the year of the fire horse, and it's like things are speeding up, things are aligning in the way that they should. Certain energy that you need to tap into to make sure that you are ready for what the fire horse brings. And this is also 2026, which is year one, like a personal year. It's all about really, you know, tuning into who you are and what you need to be doing, like what your purpose is. And sometimes that could mean starting all over for a lot of people. And that also goes along with that theme of shedding and aligning. Um, Starting back at one, no Brian McKnight. And we also just, when I'm looking around, I'm outside in my backyard, so I'm just looking at nature, birds and stuff flying around. I ain't crazy. But as I also saw things about that, but I also saw a lot of content around the Mercury retrograde that we just exited out of a few weeks ago. And a lot of the content around it was like, because Mercury retrograde does normally affect relationships in some way. And it also affects communication, transportation, electronics, all those things. But this specific one, I saw a lot of astrologists and spiritualists talking about Redbird, talking about how this particular Mercury retrograde was going to like swiftly snatch you out of relationships that you're not supposed to be in, or, cause some type of drastic change overnight. And boy, did it. It definitely did. When I tell you, I don't know if I could think of one couple that I know of who, I ain't gonna say survived, but whose relationship who stayed together in their relationship after this recent Mercury retrograde. And I have held space for many people that have access to me, whether it's because they're close within my circle, or if they know that this is the work that I do, support people through breakups and through toxic relationships ending, or even if it's not toxic, just transitioning, uncoupling, um, healing from divorce, breakup, all the things, heartbreak. And a lot of them was like something that they never expected. It just came out of the blue and it just literally, they got snatched out of these relationships. Hi, Film Chronicles. I'm outside in my backyard, so I got all kind of birds and ants and stuff all around me. Please continue your story series. I am going to continue my story time series. I told myself that I will drop a new episode when I reach a certain milestone in my book writing process. Um, I definitely kind of like fell off of my book writing discipline due to two losses that I had this year and a lot of other things that have been going on. So I'm getting back on track with writing my book. So the next milestone that I reach, I will start my story time series back up. But thank you so much for taking the time to check it out. What we have, check out what I have so far, and thank you for your desire to want to know more. Like I had a little fear around telling my story, um, but the feedback has been keeping me going. I'm trying to be out here in nature, which I love to be, but when I tell you the pollen is in my throat, the bugs are trying to come out. I'm gonna see what I can do. But back to what I was saying about the breakups. A lot of people are breaking up. I've had both men and women reaching out to me for support, and it's really unfortunate because you, of course, you want, you know, people. You're rooting for people's relationships to continue, but this year wasn't playing no game or hasn't been playing no games so far. Energetically, astrologic. How you say it? Astrologically, get it together. Energetically, astrologically, and just like people aren't tolerating what doesn't align with them, which is a good thing. What's up, realist? I'm mad at you because I told y'all a couple weeks ago when I went live, I needed y'all to keep me accountable for being over here in these YouTube streets, but it's on me. I'm just playing. But I was talking about today, like today's topic of why I wanted to come live is like, why is everybody breaking up? Because literally everybody that I know that started the year with a relationship is not in a relationship anymore. And the people that have been reaching out to me have definitely ended relationships over the past several weeks. So, and I'm talking about like went on a vacation this week. The next week is like we just broke up. I need support. This is how I'm feeling. Um, Long-term relationships. We've been together for X amount of years. We live together. This is what's going on. Um, I think a lot of the I'm trying to see if there's some common denominators in the breakups. And I won't say that there's common denominators, but I'll say some of the things that have been coming up. Um, Misalignment when it comes to expectations, and I've talked about like keep your standards high and lower your expectations, and not really having expectations because you most likely gonna get let down. But I would say misalignment with how each other expects the other person to show up in the relationship. Um, Rushed relationships where there wasn't enough time put in on vetting and really finding out if you align with this person and if your values match and if your goals match as far as where you're trying to be. Um, Other patterns I'm seeing is difference in attachment styles. That is important. Although we can ask the questions and we can vet people, there are certain signs that sometimes often get missed in the beginning if you don't know what to look for. And I've had to learn the hard way myself because I've never even experienced the dismissive avoidant until recent times. And I will say that that is a very interesting attachment style to connect with because, ooh, it's not really much you could do for that person unless they do their own inner work. And so now I know what type of signs to look for in the beginning, but even then, like people can mask who they really are. Like we're really dealing with the representatives in a lot of these cases. So when people say to get to know someone in every season, in every mood, that's very important. Not having arguments for the first several months or however long of your relationship is not necessarily a great thing. It's not necessarily a green flag. And of course, nobody wants to argue with their partner. But if you don't see your partner's conflict resolution style, attachment style, how they show up when uncomfortable conversations need to be had and hard decisions need to be made and things are uncomfortable, you might get thrown for a loop when it does happen. So it's not that I'm recommended that you start an argument so you can see, but healthy arguments or disagreements, once you start getting close enough with a person, you're two different people from two different backgrounds trying to blend together to create a union. There should be certain things that might come up where you should be able to see how they handle conflict. And it could be like the slightest thing. I'm not talking about conflict that involves disrespect, yelling, cussing, fussing, um, insulting, or anything toxic like that. Just a difference of opinion or a decision that needs to be made that may be difficult or, um, a letdown or a disappointment or a miscommunication. You really have to pay attention to how that person handles that. Like, how comfortable are they with taking accountability? How comfortable are they with saying what's on their mind without always having to sugarcoat it? Like, do they feel safe with you? Do you feel safe with them? There's lots of things to really make sure you don't overlook. Um, what's another reason why somebody difference in? I think I wanted to say personality. difference in Differences in personalities can be a thing, but I'm just thinking about like the recent relationships breakups that I know of, where the patterns are. I think that was one of the things that was like possibly a red flag, but not necessarily a deal breaker. Thank you, Realist. Got my pipe cleaner curls going. But yes, what are some other things? Multiple like trust issues, definitely. Trust issues, um, and lying. And, lying is a deal breaker for some people. And it's like for most people. But when you have a long history with somebody and you catch them in a lie, do you feel like the history and the good times and all that outweigh the lie? Or a lie is a lie and it outweighs whatever positive things that have happened in your relationship? So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that. Trust issues, lying, miscommunications, difference in values, um, difference in expectations, not meeting expectations, not um, rushing into the relationship without properly vetting, and difference in attachment styles. Some of the relationships that I've been supporting people through their breakups with, um, it's both people are not interested in reconciliation. So it's like at that point it's just like processing the emotions that come along with no longer being with your person. There are some that one person wants it more than the other, or one person wants it and the other person doesn't at all. So that's a different type of process that happens when it comes to acceptance and grief and dealing with it. And there are some relationships that I feel are just beyond repair, and then there's some that aren't necessarily beyond repair. They just need some support in how they're communicating with each other, how they're resolving conflict, and meeting each other's needs. I won't say expectations, but meeting each other's needs and really discovering if they have the capacity, the ability, and the desire to meet those needs, because that's important too. Your partner can want something that you just simply don't have the capacity to provide them with, and they have to ask themselves, is that something that they can accept? Your partner may not have the ability to do it. Again, is that something they can accept? And if they don't have the desire to do it, knowing that it's your wish or your need, what does that look like? Do you accept that? So anybody that's on the live, if you want to share any, I won't ask you too much of an invasive question, but like, what are some of the reasons why you've had a breakup? Did you feel like it was beyond repair? Have you experienced like a breakup where you wanted to repair it and the other person didn't, or you didn't want to repair it and the other person did? What are some of your processes with healing after breakups, and what did you learn from the breakup to make sure that you don't repeat the same cycles, if you have learned anything? I would love to know. I would say that, let me make sure this post went through that I just made. I would say that one of the things that I've also seen in recent breakups is it has nothing to do with infidelity, abuse, addiction, um, any type of like they say the 3 A's. I was told one time that like the 3 A's of getting a divorce or breaking up with somebody is adultery, abuse, and addiction. But none of the relationships that I've seen end this year has had anything to do with any of those. Um, I might need to come up with my own little list, because the things that I'm seeing is interesting, because usually I know in the past I've seen a lot of like extra toxic relationships where they're ending because of one of those three things, whether it's the any type of abuse, emotional, physical, mental, financial abuse. Like one of my clients, her husband stole from her, and then she was done, and then I supported her with um the process of healing or whatever after that. Of course, physical abuse, disrespect, just somebody being totally mean to their partner. I've seen the addiction part. I would say, have I helped anyone through processing a breakup from addiction, or a person that has an addiction? I don't think so. I don't think I personally supported anybody that was breaking up due to an addiction. Um, or just like infidelity. Those are usually um, the things that I've seen as far as supporting people through breakups. But lately, those things that I named have been more prevalent. And the thing that makes it interesting is that the person that you're with doesn't necessarily have to be a bad person, and the relationship doesn't necessarily have to be a terrible relationship. But these certain things, a lot of people are not going for it anymore. And I feel like that's the difference with back in the day and now. Like, I feel like before we've had all these technical terms and medical terms floating around, like narcissists and gaslighting and love bombing and breadcrumbing and stonewalling and all these different terms that we're now privy to, love languages, attachment styles, communication styles, all these different things that we now know about, people are less eager to stay in a seemingly good relationship. When I tell you this pollen is in my throat, seemingly good relationship, when those things are not aligned. Like, you could be with a wonderful person, but your love language is physical touch and their love language is giving gifts. And if they're not cuddling with you, holding your hand, giving you hugs and, letting you lay on their chest, but they're giving you gifts because they like getting gifts. And you're constantly telling them, like, that's not how I receive love, and they're not doing those things. That's a deal breaker for people, to not be loved in their love language. Or if you're an avoidant and you're creating anxiety in the other person, so now they're anxious attachment, you stressing them out because you shut down when you need to process your feelings and thoughts, and now it's creating anxiety within them. That's enough to break up a relationship, because you're feeling like you're seemingly a good person, but you're sending your partner on an emotional roller coaster because of the way that you process your emotions. So there's the deal breakers, I feel like, have increased since people have become more knowledgeable of what they want to accept, like being a good person, or being in a, I'm putting it in quotes because I feel like back in the day, it's like if you're not being hit, disrespected, or cheated on, then people feel like, oh, you got a good man, you in a good relationship, or you got a good woman, you got a good thing going. But no, that's not it. Like, that's the bare minimum, literally. So Rilla says she couldn't get past old situations when we weren't even serious, and she held it against me to the point I had to cut it off. She swore everything you said was a lie, when really you told more truth than she wanted to give you credit for. Seems like they're waiting on an escape route. Oh, that's what Sweet Tea says. Well, yes, I've recently talked to a couple that's going through a breakup, and that was their issue too. Trust was broken early on, even though they weren't all the way serious yet. They were in the dating process, in the courting process, and trust was broken early on. So it's trust is like huge. It's so hard to build it up, but it's so easy to break it down. And once it's broken down, it's even harder to build it back up. So I think that if trust is broken early on, this bird is cutting up. I don't know if y'all can hear the birds. If trust is broken early on, I really feel like the partner whose trust was broken has to sit down and ask themselves if they can actually do the work with their partner in order to allow them to rebuild trust. If they're able to um, do their own individual work and do the work to get through it as a couple. If they're not able to do it, it's like, even if it's hard to do, I think it's just best sometimes to just go your separate ways when trust is broken to us, when it's beyond repair. If it's beyond repair, like, the whole relationship is going to be under a scope. Like, everything you do, she's never going to believe you. He's never going to believe you. They're not going to trust you. They're not going to listen to you when you say your word. Your word means nothing at that point, because you've taken their trust for granted, or you've done something um to break their trust, and it's really hard to get that back. Like, people want to feel safe in their relationship, so even if it wasn't serious, that's their baseline, that's their reference point with you. So it has to be a lot of effort on both parts, and it's unfortunate because the other person didn't even do anything, but they also have to, I think they have to do even more work than the person who broke the trust. The person that broke the trust has to make sure to not lie again, or um not do something that, whatever the situation was, not to repeat it. And then they also have to make sure their actions now align with their words going forward. And then they have to constantly reassure. So that's what they have to do. But that person has to open up their heart again. They have to allow themselves to feel safe. They have to forgive, and they, not only the person but themselves, because sometimes it creates a lot of guilt when someone forgives or stays with someone who has broken their trust. Um, it's a lot of work. It's not saying I'm not saying that it's not possible, but it's definitely a lot of work. Me personally, with my ex-husband, before we got married, which I talked about in the story time, like, he ended up getting his one of his daughter's moms pregnant while we weren't married, but we were living together. So imagine the layers of trust that was broken at that point. Not only did you cheat on me, but you cheated on me with a woman you already have a child with. So this is not somebody that is a random person. Like, this person you have history with, and me and this person have never got along. So it's almost like you just slept with my op. Then you got her pregnant. You didn't just cheat, you got her pregnant. So you put me at risk, and then you created life. And then on top of that, I wanted children really badly around that time, or I felt like he has a lot of kids. In my young mind, it was like, he has a lot of kids, but the next time he has a child, it will be from me. So you ruined that. And then we have to constantly be in contact with this person because you already have a child with them. So it was so many layers of trust broken. When I look back, hindsight, I definitely should have left the relationship after that. That wasn't something that I should have forgiven and kept going, because it was torture for me. I definitely didn't trust him. I was livid. Like, I probably went through every stage of grief, but anger was the lingering one. And I had become resentful, bitter, and hateful. And I don't even hate people. Like, that's not even my personality, not my thing, not my energy. But I had got to a certain level of hate, and it was consuming me. And it was like, I got to the point where I would literally think her up. Like, I would be imagining things in my head that I don't even want to tell y'all what I was imagining. It definitely was violence. And I would be thinking about her, and I would look up and she would be right there. It happened like 5 times where I'm driving down the street. I'm pissed thinking about her. There she go walking. I'm sitting on the bus. I can't remember where I was going. I think I had car trouble. I'm sitting on the bus. She walk in, she get on the bus. I'm pulling up to the store with my mom. My mom walks in. I look up. There she go walking in. Me and him in the car one time, walking, arguing probably. Look up, there she go. So that was one of those things where it's like, girl, just go ahead and leave and deal with the healing that you need to do to get over him. Let them have that. But hindsight is 2020. But I really do feel like you have to sit with yourself to feel like to ask yourself, is this something that you can truly heal from within the relationship, or else you're gonna be torturing yourself and the partner? Because, like you said, she couldn't get past the situations, and I'm sure you were trying to move forward in a better light, in a better way. But at that point, she could not believe you or trust you at that point. So, girl, just go. You had to cut it off. It got so bad. Sweet Tea, aka Latondra Millhouse, aka Sweet Tea, says, seems like they're waiting on an escape route. Yeah, definitely. Film Chronicle said I could write a story. Tell us a story. Give us a little snippet, because we share over here. We won't judge. Give us maybe a reason why you broke up, or have you ever experienced somebody who wanted to stay in the relationship with you and you were over it, or vice versa? And or share your process. Like, what's one of the things that helps you during a breakup? Latondra Millhouse says people are running away only to find themselves back at the starting point of knowing who they really are. That's deep. That's deep, because you're right. If people aren't going to do the work, and even if you do the work, I ain't even going to put it on doing the work, because relationships are, if you want to know how well you have done the work, or if you want to know how far into your journey you are, or what you need to work on, I'll say that, because we're forever healing. But if you want to see what you need to work on, get in a relationship, because those handheld mirrors, instead of a handheld mirror like this, a relationship is like a big old head to foot mirror, floor mirror, hanging, not even hanging up, the ones that stand up. Like, somebody is holding this big ass mirror up to you. and it's going to show you your own flaws. But then a lot of people get the mirror shown to them and they're like, no, that's not me. They don't want to admit that that's actually them, because they haven't looked in the mirror. They haven't really taken a deep dive into their flaws or the things that they need to take accountability for. So the mirror is there, but they're pushing back. They rather break the mirror than actually look into it. The mirror is going to show you what wounds you have from childhood and from past relationships that you may have thought that you worked on, but you realize, damn, I done got triggered. And I posted a meme a couple months ago, or maybe a month or so ago, that said, I thought I was, let me see. I got to read the quote. I don't want to butcher it. It says, I be thinking I changed until I get my I be thinking I changed until I get mad. Whole time I'm still crazy. And to me it was funny because when we're on our healing journey and when we're very intentional about doing the work and unpacking and facing ourselves and self-discovery and self-love and forgiving and acceptance and all these things, and we're like, whew, I'm good, I'm ready, I'm here, I have arrived, I'm a new me. I'm looking forward to love. I'm ready for love. I'm open for love. And when I get into my next relationship, I have all the tools that I need to really handle conflict, to communicate well, to show up for my partner, to prioritize myself and self love and all these things. And then you get into the relationship, and there's that trusty mirror again. And you just said something that pissed me off. And I have these tools, they're right here. I got breath work. I could breathe right now. I have take a moment to reflect. I can communicate that hurt my feelings and this is why. I can take a walk. I can go meditate. I can go pray. I can pray right now. I can journal and write out my feelings. I can not match this person's energy and stay in my own energy. I can phone a friend, schedule a appointment with therapy. I can, you know, let me think of another tool that you could do when somebody pisses you off. I can transmute that anger into love and just, love on you a little bit more. The tools are right here. But guess what you do? I'm about to cuss your ass out. I'm about to cry. I'm about to cut up in here. I'm about to crash out because although you have all these tools, you know exactly what to do with all of them. In that moment, maybe your abandonment wound is triggered, or maybe you think back to a time where somebody disrespected you or said something to piss you off and you didn't say what you wanted to say. And this is the moment where you about to be like, I'm going to say what I want to say today, or whatever happens. These tools are there, but you like, fuck all these tools. You piss me off. This is how I'm going to react. And what happens in relationships is during conflict is pretty much your inner child and their inner child going back and forth. If you haven't been doing the work to nurture your own inner child, or they haven't been doing the work to nurture theirs, it's going to be a problem. If you've neglected that inner child for a while, it's going to be a problem. If you have been catering to, nurturing, talking to, healing your inner child, it's still a possibility that you're going to react when you're triggered, because the triggers are still always there. It's just a matter of, do you have the capacity to reach for the tools instead of crashing out? And then you're in a relationship. So all the tools that you have accumulated, all the times where you have understood, because you've read about it, you've researched, you've reflected on your own communication styles or on you've taken accountability for how you may have shown up in the past or the lessons that you've learned. You've done a lot of work. But you're also, like I always say, all that shit sounds great in theory, but it's not until you're in the practice that you get to actually find out how you're going to handle these things in the situation. So you may have done all this work and have all these tools, but you're in a relationship with someone who may have not done all the work. And maybe it's not because they don't have the desire to work on themselves. Maybe they don't even realize that they have these issues. Maybe they didn't know that because they weren't emotionally supported as a child, that now that they have to shut down whenever a big emotion comes up. Or maybe they don't know that because they were rejected by their first love, that they have a trigger of, something that you did made them feel rejected and now they're triggered. So you're dealing with someone else's baggage on top of yours and you're blending together in a relationship. So even if you have all the tools and all the skills and you're communicating effectively, you have the emotional intelligence and all of that, your partner might not. And there's only so much that you can do to allow them to meet you where you are instead of meeting them where they are, and matching energy and all of that. So it's so many different factors when it comes to relationships and what happens even if you have done the work to heal. Like that is like one of the biggest tests, one of the biggest milestones to meet when you've done the work. It's like, let me see how this shows up in relationship with somebody else. And it's great when you find somebody who has also done the work, who is wanting the relationship and willing to do the things that it requires to keep the relationship. Because when people say relationship, marriages, whatever you want to say, requires work, it does, individually and together. So Latondra Millhouse says, here come the motherfucking side effects. If you've ever seen the Queen of Comedy, Samore has this part of her comedy show where she's talking about she's comparing being in a relationship to going to the fair, where you all excited and you want to get on all, you want to play the games because you want to win the big bear or whatever, the big stuffed animal. That's the relationship, that's the man. And then I'm starting to think, is that the same part? I don't know if that's the same part, but I'm thinking like she say you get it and like you get the relationship and here come the motherfucking side effects. I might be mixing in two different parts of the comedy sketch, but she's basically saying like now you got to walk around with the stuffed animal. You can't get on no more rides because you got this big bitch with you. So it's like you want it, but then when you get it, you realize there's other things that now you can't do because you have it, and so now what you thought you wanted, it's like, do I? Because it's making me switch up some things. So Film Chronicle says lack of trust in the beginning and became violent. She realized she was married to a female narcissist. And I don't know much about lesbian relationships, but I be hearing some things. And I heard that a lot of lesbian women move very quickly. So do you feel like do you feel like you vetted properly in the beginning, or do you think that she was really good with like showing her representative? And then she says, I became a shell of myself. I believed that I was a bad person for reacting to the abuse. Whole time I was being manipulated. My stubbornness and inclination that something was off with her saved me. When I tell you, one of the biggest lessons that I've recently learned from being in relationship with someone is that intuition. I ain't gonna say I learned it. I was reminded that your intuition never lies. And people will make you question. I ain't gonna say make you, they will try to make you question your intuition. And it always comes back that it was right. And some of us believe that our intuition is like the inner voice, God's voice, that gut feeling, could be your womb. However you look at your intuition, it never lies. And I think that sometimes we have to make sure that we are discerning between like intuition and anxiety, or intuition and fear, or intuition and, assumptions. But when you're really tapped in and tuned in and you trust yourself, that inner knowing is never going to steer you wrong. And it definitely does save you. And I think that sometimes you need reminders to get back into trusting your intuition, because we question our intuition often, or we'll allow somebody to talk us out of, or we'll talk ourselves out of it, make excuses like, I felt that way, but maybe it's because of this. No, you are right. You got the answer. You don't need no proof. 9 times out of 10, the intuition is exactly on point. And that 1 time out of 10 is probably you maybe got 1 or 2 details off, but it was still a warning. And becoming a shell of yourself, people will stress you out so bad to the point where you are emotionally and mentally drained, and you can get to a point where you're blaming yourself or trying to excuse it and putting it on yourself, and it's that manipulation is the mug. mm. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you, especially the violence, the not especially but all of it, the violence, the emotional draining. I'm glad you got out of it. And there it goes again, like an example of people are breaking trust early. Like oftentimes when you really look back at the end of the relationship, the signs were either always there or they gradually started showing up. Like those red flags be waving. But it's something about the connection with that person or other things that outweigh the the red flag that makes us excuse it or make light of whatever it is, minimize the red flag. But really, the same things that annoy you or the same things that bother you or the same things that don't align with you that you make excuses for throughout the relationship are the exact same things that you're going to break up for. Whether that's they lied in the beginning, most likely that's going to either be a pattern throughout or the deal breaker, the ultimate deal breaker in the end, or even you seeing how they're shutting down or handling conflict throughout, but you're like, oh, that's just their process. They need some time. And then it gets to the point where they've shut all the way down, where they're not even putting in the effort to resolve conflict. You saw it in the beginning. Infidelities, seeing little signs, flirting, being inappropriate online, whatever it is. And then that ends up being the issue. So at this point, as soon as I see a red flag, I'm going to just exit stage left. And I be trying not to like, do you all feel like red flags and deal breakers are the same, or do you like, because I had looked at it like, this lighting is terrible, y'all. I'm sorry, let me see if I can turn this porch light on. Then I'm gonna track all the bugs, but it's okay. Did the light come on? No. I don't know if that's better. Not really, but it's okay. Um, what was I saying, y'all? Oh, are red flags and deal breakers the same? So sometimes I look at it like I feel like they're different. Red flags are like some things that you're seeing that you don't necessarily like or you don't align with, but they're not deal breakers. And deal breakers is just like, if this happens, absolutely not. But I'm feeling like now red flags are deal breakers. Yellow flags are the things that may not necessarily align, but they're not deal breakers. Am I making sense? Because I've always looked at like, okay, that's a red flag. Let me give an example of a red flag that I may have once not felt like it was a deal breaker. Um, let's say let me go back in time and think of a past relationship. Mm, I think, okay, let's say there was a guy who would low key, high key insult me through jokes. Like to him, it was like, oh, it's just a little jokey joke, but you're being insulting. So it was a red flag, but I didn't allow it to be a deal breaker because I think I communicated to him how it made me feel, and then when it happened again, I may have still not left after that, but then like once multiple things started happening, then that was like a part of the collective reason of why I stopped dealing with him. Me now, that red flag of you telling a jokey joke and it's an insult is probably, I don't know if I'll be one and done, or maybe I should be. Yeah, I guess it depends on what the joke is. And then it also depends on the intention and the behavior after. So I might give one chance. There's some red flags that I think may possibly be warranted one chance to correct. It's hard. I don't know. What y'all think? I don't know if that's a squirrel or a bird, but stay over there. Latanja Millhouse says, yes, that's two different parts. The guy should come with warnings. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's two different parts of the comedy show. What was the motherfucking side effects that she was talking about? I'm gonna have to rewatch. But you say that it sounded like dry humor. I feel like I think what took it from dry humor to like insulting is like it wasn't even really a joke. It was just like you're saying something to you it's a joke. Cause I have dry humor, but and I might roast you, but it's gonna be on something innocent. It's not gonna be like, for example, I said, I don't even think he said that as a joke. Did he say it as a joke? I can't remember the things that he would say. I only remember one thing that he said that pissed me off. And it was, I think it was in the middle of this, was it the summertime? It was hot. Let's just say that. It was hot. And I had a little bit of sweat up under my arm. I had a dress on with long sleeves and, you had a little sweat stain. Not stain, but a little bit of sweat peeking through. And he was like, I don't know if he said, ugh, but in my mind I heard, ugh, you look musty. First of all, sweat doesn't equate must. If I'm sweating, that doesn't mean that I'm exuding a foul odor. But I just didn't like the way he said it or the way that it just wasn't funny to me. And so he thought it was no big deal, but I was just like, I was turned off because it wasn't his first time saying something rude like that. And like, it wasn't dry humor to me. It was just like, you're an asshole. So what y'all think? Are there any red flags that you have that you will give somebody a chance to correct after you've said something? Or are your red flags ultimate deal breakers? Let me think of another one of my red flags. One of my red flags is also like miscommunication, like not having the ability to communicate. And at this point in my life, it's going to be one of those one and done. Not one and done. I'll give you one chance to correct. So we're two different people. We have different communication styles. If you're not able to communicate and resolve conflict, and I've seen it, and I've come to you to ask you to put in effort, or let's find a way to do this where we both are comfortable, and it doesn't happen, I'm good. Because if you don't have that, if you're not aligned with that, then it's really challenging to have a healthy relationship with poor communication and conflict resolution.